Hey you guys, I hope you guys are doing so well. As you can see from the last video, in the title of this video, I got a job. I got a job. Yes. So most of you know, if you've been watching my videos, and those who don't, I worked for Uber for about 9 years pretty much. And then all of a sudden something crazy happened to the account. So crazy that like Uber Eats and Uber, both of them just went away, put it that way. And they took my money too. With Uber, what I hate about it, they don't have a phone number anymore, especially when you can't log into your account. So I couldn't log into my account or anything. So I was sitting there, I never got an email saying I was deactivated, what was going on. So I'm trying to go through the help section and everything like that to email them, and I just kept sending emails after emails for about 3 or 4 weeks. And finally I kind of gave up, and I didn't do it like every day because I was doing it every day. Finally I just gave up. I was like, I'm not doing this every day. So I started doing it maybe like once a week, because it's almost been 2 months now. So I started doing it once a week. The screen kept saying you cannot log in, and that's all the information it would give me. When I would sit there and I reach out to the people, they would read off a script. And remember, I'm only doing email because I don't have a phone number that I can contact anybody. So they're just reading off a script. I apologize that this happened to you. We're going to try to figure it out for you. They never did. They still haven't today. And like I said, they took the money with it. So it was like, okay, this is ridiculous. But I do look at things sometimes like, you know, this was God's way of telling me, because I had told you guys, I wrote down goals for 2025, and I did not want to work for Uber anymore. I had been saying this for years that I didn't want to do it and stuff like that. But this time I did actually make a goal of, I don't want to work for it, because sometimes I would take off 6 months and then come back to it. But I was like, I don't want to do it. You know what I'm saying? So it was things that I really want to do, because with Uber and everything, I mean, honestly, I couldn't even afford health insurance and stuff like that. The rides were getting ridiculous, and the safety issues, I don't even want to talk about it. But I did have some safety concern and experiences that I had that were terrible. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, I'm glad that it happened and everything. Let's get to the job. That's what we want. But I had to tell you a little bit about my gig work and everything like that, because that is the name of the video. You want to know why I'm not working gig work anymore. That's the reason I'm not working gig work anymore. And honestly, I know if you ask, like, hey, if you were still on Uber, would you still be doing it? I would have. That's why I'm glad that I'm not, that God said, nope, we're not doing it no more. I sat there and then I started going hard. So after 100 and something applications and about 4 job interviews, I got a job. As you saw from the last video and everything, when I went to the interview and everything, it went really well. But let me tell y'all how that day was going. So when I went in for the interview and everything, they had like a classroom full of people. So I'm going to say it was about 40 or 50 of us. So when we were in there and everything like that, we were all doing like this, not survey, but it was just questions that they ask you as far interview questions. And that was like my last video. Instead of them asking, they did ask some in the interview, but they also had them written down and you had to answer them. Like I said, we're in a classroom with a bunch of people. So somebody's phone rang in the classroom and everything like that, and they answered it while we were in the classroom. Okay, when they answered the phone in the classroom, everybody, we can hear the conversation. Even though they were turned away from us and they kind of moved to the corner, we still could hear the conversation. So the guy that was on the phone and everything, he had this real raspy voice. But what was so crazy, he was like, when he was talking to the person, again, we hearing your personal conversation. He was talking like, yeah, I got you, babe. And then he was like, I can't even do the laugh, but it was like a duck laugh with a raspy voice I have never heard, with a kind of like a whistle tone. So it sounded like he smoked Marlboros for 50 something years. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe 2 packs a day, because I have never heard a laugh like that. And it tickled me. Me and the lady that was behind me, it tickled us so bad that we were laughing. So when I was laughing and stuff, people were looking around because they were trying to figure out about, like, because it didn't even sound like a human. It was like like I said, like a duck call, but it was raspy and whistling, and you just couldn't figure it out. So it was like me and her, we were tickled, and I was tickled, so I was turned this way, and I'm trying not to, you know what I'm saying, because I couldn't, and I was like, get it together, Danny, get it together. But I'm telling y'all, I was laughing so hard that I was crying. Okay, and the girl behind me, she was the same way. We were just laughing. And so I finally got myself together, and I was like, can I go to the bathroom, because I had to wash my face. I had tears coming out my I have not laughed that hard in so long. I had tears coming out my eyes. And I was like, when I went to the bathroom and I was splashing the water on my face, I was still kind of laughing. And I looked in the mirror and I was like, God, I'm gonna get this job, because I am tickled pink, and I just got the biggest smile on my face. So when I go back in the room, it's a recruiter in there, and I got the biggest smile on my face from laughing so hard at this guy. So I'm still smiling. And so when I came back in the room, he said, how you doing? I was like, good. How you doing? Again, biggest smile. And so he looked, and I'm not good at doing eye contact, you guys. So he looked me dead in the eye, saying back, you know what I'm saying? I'm smiling. I'm still in good spirits from this good hearty laugh. So he was like, we're just talking about, some of your experiences and stuff as far as security, because I'm back in security again. And he was like, and people are just telling a little bit about themselves. So he asked me about myself. Again, I'm talking to him. Eye contact is good. We're smiling at each other. Again, I am feeling so good, and I haven't even gotten the interview yet. So this is the recruiter and everything like that. He said, you guys, we are doing second and third shifts mostly. And I'm like, good, that's what I want. Second and third shifts, love those shifts. And so he was like, so if you can work those shifts, let them know. So when I went in, I was the next person to go in. I let them know that when I was talking to them as far as answering their questions, and they were smiling at me, just like I said I was smiling at them. And she started typing in stuff and everything like that. She was like, okay, hey Danielle, and everything like that. And she was like, do you have your first aid certificate? And then she was like, I was like, no, it expired. She was like, we got you. When she said we got you, I knew I had the job, because why would they sit there and say that? So again, I'm just smiling bigger. I'm like, oh my God, I got this job. So next thing you know, they just pushed me through so daggone fast. It was definitely God ordained. I was like, I really could not believe it. I really could not believe it, you guys. I was so excited. And then when they gave me the job offer, I'm getting paid more than I ever have at any daggone job that I've ever been in. So I'm like, yes. I'm at one of the accounts that pays the most. That's one of the most professionals. And I was like, man, if this ain't God ordained. So if all that wouldn't have happened to Uber with me getting like deactivated or whatever, I would have never got this like dream job. I would have still just been stuck in a cycle. You know what I'm saying? So I am so glad that, I no longer have to do any gig work, and I got you could say it's a 9-to-5 or whatever you want to say, but I got a job. I got benefits now. I get benefits 60 days. I ain't got to no longer worry about not having health insurance, because that's an important part of my life and everything like that. So health insurance, life insurance, all these things that come with a full-time job. Yes. So I am too excited, and I wanted to share it with you guys and everything. I'm glad you guys came along with this journey. Thank you all for supporting me. I really appreciate you, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Bye-bye.